before further sanctions are leveled against the school?
Examination malpractice undermines the whole education sector to the extent that it is prevalent. If it is widely prevalent, it would completely nullify all the efforts that went into training the candidates, before preparing the candidates before the examination. Let me explain. First, the role of an examination. The role of the examination is to determine the extent to which the educational objectives have been achieved by the candidate. Now, if at the end of the year, having prepared those candidates, you cannot determine those who have achieved the educational objectives that were set because of examination malpractice, then it means, it is all the efforts that went into preparing those candidates that have gone up in smoke. Let's remember that the examination comes at the end of the year. And before the examination, all the stakeholders would have done their bit, would have put in effort to see that the educational objectives are achieved. So the parents would have paid fare for their children to go to school, which is expensive, as we all know. Government would have paid the teachers, given subsidies to the schools. Some hardworking teachers would have maybe given free study classes and all that. Now, if at the culmination of all the interventions of these stakeholders, you cannot now determine the extent to which the educational objectives have been achieved, then it means it is the whole sector that is undermined. And I think what this does is to underscore the extent to which examination malpractice is the business of everybody, all stakeholders. Because if you are a hardworking teacher who, worked hard to prepare your candidates, I think you would be very frustrated if, at the end of, all the work you did, your efforts end up in vain. Likewise for the Ministry of Education, likewise for the school authorities themselves. So I think what this does is to let us all know that examination malpractice is the business of everybody, and that we should all do our bit to make sure that we weed it out of the education system.
Thank you. Over, Mr. Job, you want to add something to what he has said on how education malpractice hampers the resourcefulness and creativity of people in a nation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ba. Once again, I think I cannot agree more with Pa. But before coming into what Pa said, let me just throw light a little on what Mr. Sise was talking about regarding the levies that are, sanctions are levied against people who are found wanting in this exercise. The mass cheating he talked about, derecognizing a school, that itself is demotivating, that itself is demoralizing, that itself is embarrassing. If I am a principal and I am written to inform that your school is de-recognized, that implies children in that school, even if they are going to take the exam, my management cannot manage that exams. WAEC has to bring in independent people to manage the exams, and the school will foot the bill. That itself is very demoralizing. And as a result, we all should work to make sure that it doesn't happen. The impersonation he talked about, if I am taken to the police and Grts brought in and they say, this is Mr. Job who went to write the exam for his son or brother, that itself is something that is very, very foreign to our culture, but it's also embarrassing. So therefore, we should make sure that these kind of things are really weed out of our system. Now, coming on to the issue of, the implications. He talked about the resources, the efforts. But, what is more frustrating as a parent? After putting all the resources I have for my child, at the end of the day, his or her results are cancelled, or, he doesn't have results at all. If it is only one subject itself, on your statement of result is written there, cancel. If I'm looking for a job, I come to GRTS, they would look at me, what have you done for this to be cancelled? Then I start scratching my head. But I wouldn't be able to tell them I cheated in the exams. But they will read between the lines and know that I cheated. That's why they put cancel there. Because if I'm absent, they'll put absent. But wherever you see cancel, it implies cheating. Some malpractice has happened. So this itself is really demoralizing. But let's look at the education sector. With all the resources that we are pumping into the education system, at the end of the day, we look at our children and we are informed that their exams is declared null and void. I mean, the whole system has failed. And looking at the statistics that Mr. Sek has given us, I mean, it's on the increase. That means that it's a wake-up call for all and sundry. Everybody should be prepared. And we are coming up now because exams is about to start next month. The exams will start in April, inshallah. And that is why we are saying, let us start talking to the people concerned. The students, the teachers, the parents, the teachers, I mean the school managers. We all have a stake in this. And we should all try to encourage our children to read and work hard and be prepared to go and write the exams on their own rather than trying to cheat, because if you cheat at the end of the day, it will be detected. People have this, if I do it, they will. No, 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 I was an examiner. Immediately we start marking, we will know that cheating has happened. Even if people are not caught physically in the hall, you know, either you impersonating, or you assaulting or insulting somebody, those are things you may be reprimanded on the spot. But where we even happen to have this mass cheating, it will be discovered during marking the papers. They will know. I mean, you cannot have 100 children sitting in a row, following one another, the numbers in sequence, serial order, and then they have the same answers. It's not possible. We are human beings.
Obviously.
Then we know that something has happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Job. I want to ask Mr. Cisse before coming to, in an event where examination malpractice occurs, ordinary people tend to point accusing fingers to either WAEC or the ministry. What's your take on that?
WAEC is neutral. WAEC doesn't favor any school. It doesn't favor any candidate. What we look for is the script of the candidate, whether he's been able to answer the questions according to the marking scheme that we have developed. Now, our stake on ignorance of the people about exam malpractice is that we are here to enlighten. We have indicated that there are different forms of malpractice. Now, coming back to impersonation, for example, we have been having, as recent as last year, cases of impersonation during our private exams. And some years ago, when we used to conduct the college entrance exams, an impersonator at Mansa Congo. Apparently in the Gambia, we have names that are shared by both sexes, like Adama, with due respect.
Yes.
Girls are also called Adama. In some ethnic groups, Usman is the name of a boy as well as a girl.
Yeah.
So during this exam period, we were going around looking at the card, the candidate's picture, and the face, whether they are the same. And our staff went around and saw that the picture on the table is a picture of a girl, and the man sitting was a man. The candidate sitting was a male. So there's a mismatch. I think it was called Adam or something. So our staff called him, to explain. He wrote a note. Then the staff went to the high table to collect some papers. He looked back and the man left the class and ran. Yes, he ran away. So he was a thief on the run. You see, all what I'm saying is, please, impersonation is bad. Bringing foreign material into the exam hall is bad, equally bad. Now, candidates are not allowed to bring electronic devices, mobile phones, name it, any electronic device for that matter, except for people who are hard of hearing. For example, the people with hearing defects, you know,